We Are Change with host Howard Nima, exposing the collectivist global elite's Malthusian quest for a new world order. A one-world dictatorial government where all aspects of human life are under their control. Truth Talk Radio, where news the mainstream media ignores is the top story and your voice is heard. Fridays 1 to 3 p.m. and Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on informedradio.com.
Sorry for the missed time, but I was stuck in a snowstorm here in October in Connecticut. I understand it broke a record. Got about 6 inches on the ground in Torrington. I was coming from Cromwell, which is only, well, it's about 45 miles. Took about 2 hours. Quite late, actually. Good to be here today. A lot of important things to discuss. I was going to go deeply into the, basically the Dyncorp and their criminal activities involving all sorts of depravity and the sex trafficking of young children and other examples of it. Yesterday I touched on it a little bit. I didn't really get a chance to get it happening too deeply because we ran out of time. I went into it a little late. So have quite a bit of time here for this. I thought I would just actually dedicate the whole show to the evil that is consistently going on and show some examples as well. I have a couple of clips that I'll play. It's just horrible. Here in Connecticut, on the Berlin Turnpike, some years ago, there was, of course, there was a lot of this activity of sex slavery and pimps selling girls and getting girls to go into high schools, and this is still going on. Getting girls to go into high schools and infiltrate, cliques and get them to get involved. And once they're involved, they're taken away. They slowly move into this illicit, disgusting slavery, and they get them on drugs and all sorts of other horrible things. Now that's just low-level stuff. That's just the low-level stuff. Now Dyncorp goes in. We're going to go into some details where many politicians, this homosexual, trafficking of boys for homosexual sex from the elite and politicians who got caught. Reagan got caught at the White House. This is all, of course, really underreported or forgotten about. So here at We Are Change, I report the news that the mainstream media ignores, and this is certainly something that they ignore. And it is a top story, and certainly a very important one. Now, Dyncorp, to give you a little background on the actual company, they're basically a military contractor. CIA is all over them as well. They have a lot of influence in moving people. They traffic people legally and illegally for governments when governments hire them to move people. For example, the Bin Laden family was, after 9/11, was escorted out of the country by Dyncorp. How nicely, of course. And then Anwar al-Awlaki had his famous dinner at the Pentagon 3 months later after 9/11. But of course, he is now dead, and so is Osama bin Laden, who's been dead basically since December of 2001, and they just kept re-killing him for effect and for political gain. He's, of course, a typical boogeyman puppet that is put into place. Like now, of course, the boogeyman Gaddafi is dead. So we have new boogeymen in Syria. And I'm worried about Iran, so I think that Ahmadinejad, I love calling him Ahmadinejad, I think he's going to be a big target as well. Oh yes, I think Israel's looking close into doing something on that. But that's just basically current geopolitical events that are going on. Of course, the economy has made some slight improvements, but nothing to really to have any type of real changes. Of course, the banking cartels are going closer and closer to world government as we speak. You know, even the Vatican is backing that. But let's talk about this Dyncorp and the CIA child sex trafficking. In 2007, Nancy Schaefer, who's a senator from the 50th District in Georgia, had addressed the General Assembly regarding the corrupt business of Child Protective Services. Now that's CPS. And basically Child Protective Services, I'll read this particular case. My introduction to Child Protective Services case was due to a grandmother in an adjoining state who called me with her tragic story. Her 2 granddaughters had been taken from her daughter who lived in my district. Her daughter was wrongly told that if she wanted to see her children again, she should sign a paper.
Please be advised, this is not a telemarketing call. This is a personal business message for...
Who's this? Somebody calling in?
Yeah, that was a caller. I don't know what the heck was going on.
That's really weird. That's strange. Anyway, okay, caller. I guess you're a telemarketer. Okay, buy some truth, or sell some truth, maybe. So basically, her daughter was wrongly told that if she wanted to see her children again, she should sign a paper and give up her children. Frightened and young, the daughter did. I have since discovered that the parents are often threatened into cooperation of permanent separation of their children. Yep, this happens all the time. This happens around the country. CPS is doing this and taking their children, putting them into foster programs. And I'll continue. This is a good story. Her daughter was wrongly told that if she wanted to see her children, you got to sign this paper. The children were taken to another county and placed in foster care. The foster parents were told wrongly that they could adopt the children. The grandmother then jumped through every hoop known to man in order to get to her granddaughters. When the case finally came to court, it was made evident by one of the foster parents' children that the foster parents had, at any given time, 18 foster children, and that the foster mother had an inappropriate relationship with the case worker. How nice. All right, so there's a lot of corruption going on here. They're taking children away from people that are absolutely capable. They're targeting single-parent households mostly. This is just one example. There's many. It's basically a lot of cash bonuses. Now we can thank Slick Willie Clinton because he adopted the Safe Families Act, which was set in motion by Mr. Clinton, by President Clinton, offering cash bonuses to states for every child they adopted out of foster care. So in order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services need more children. They must have merchandise, children, that sell. And you have to have plenty of them so the buyer can choose. Some counties are known to give a $4,000 bonus for each child adopted and an additional $2,000 for a special needs child. Employees work to keep the federal dollars flowing. And then there is double dipping. The funding continues as long as the child is out of the home. When the child is in foster care and placed with a new family, then adoption bonus funds are available. When a child is placed in a mental health facility and is on 16 drugs per day, like 2 children of a constituent of this Nancy Schaefer, more funds are involved. That there are no financial resources and no real drive to unite a family and keep them together. Absolutely, it's all financial, it's all money. Again, more of this corruption put into place with DCF. Now, I didn't even get into what Dyncorp is doing. This is just, again, we're graduating to these different levels of evil. Right here you have DCF, of course. The policy manual is considered the last word, okay? So this is what they do. This is how they do it. They take these kids, get them on all these different psychotropic drugs, put them into foster care programs, tell them they're maladapted. Meanwhile, they're getting bunches and tons of money, thanks to President Bill Clinton and his loving attention to families, like the American Family and Prosperity Act, where everybody should buy a home, made it easier for low-income and other minorities to purchase homes they really couldn't afford. And then they took them, the criminals, banksters, Wells Fargo, Wachovia, the drug dealers, the drug launderers, also Bank of America, not to mention what they do for the mortgages. So they launder drug money, they steal people's homes, and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Well, we talk about it here at We Are Change, and I'll be talking about this a lot as we move along. But going back to this, there's some more data. The Foster Parents Bill of Rights does not bring out that foster parent is only there to care for a child until the child can return home. Many foster parents today use Foster Parents Bill of Rights to hire a lawyer and seek to adopt the child from the real parents who are desperately trying to get their child home and out of the system. That tax dollars are being used to keep this gigantic system afloat, yet the victims, parents, grandparents, guardians, and especially the children are charged for the system's services. That grandparents have called from all over the state of Georgia trying to get custody of their grandchildren. DFCS claims relatives are contacted, but there are cases that prove different. Their cases prove differently. Grandparents who lose their grandchildren to strangers have lost their own flesh and blood. The children lose their family heritage and grandparents, and parents too lose all connections to their heirs. That the National Center on Child Abuse and Neglect in 1998 reported that 6 times as many children died in foster care than in the general public, and that once removed to official safety, quote unquote, these children are far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation, than in the general population. Of course they are. They're evil people that implement this. It's satanic, literally. I'm going to go into the satanic ritual abuse that has actually been caught and documented on record, that CIA is involved in. Ted Gunderson revealed this. It's incredible information as we move along. Now, according to the California Little Hoover Commission report in 2003, 30% to 40 to 70% of the children in California group homes do not belong there and should not have been removed from their homes. Okay? There are scores of cases of exhausted families and troubled children that Child Protective Services have become the adult-centered detriment to our children. No longer is judgment based on what the child needs or what the child wants to be with or what is really best for the whole family. It is adult or bureaucrat who makes the decisions based often on just hearsay without ever consulting a family member or just what is convenient, profitable, or less troublesome from a director of DFCS. Excellent. Children deserve better, families deserve better. It's time to pull back the curtain and set our children and families free. Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Nancy Schaefer, Senator. Probably not a senator anymore. This is from 2007, or maybe you are. They'll look you up. I like what you have to say. Truth of the matter is, we got to get more people to say it. It's really happening. There's a lot of examples I'm going to go over. Now, of course, she made some good recommendations also to call for an independent audit of the Department of Family and Children's Services to expose corruption and fraud. What a great idea. That's like auditing the Fed. But again, a lot of this stuff is really, really horrific, and a lot of the adoptions and things that they do, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And they're going to these elite families in many cases for various reasons. I'm going to go into a couple of things that will just blow your mind. I mean, it was one of the harder things for me to actually believe and accept. I mean, it was just very difficult for me to believe and accept how really unbelievably evil the New World Order's intentions are, and the skull and bones, like on the Nazi SS uniform insignia, it's the skull and bones. It's like, it is the same, it is all from this, you know, fascist evil, just death, cult of death. The New World Order is like, they're literally a cult of death. All they do is talk about peace, love, and free markets and all this other stuff, and do the exact opposite, and make war and